and you said that you affirm that God has no freedom.
Well, creation.
No freedom.
Creation is free will.
I say freedom. I say, could he have chosen between the two?
Well, it's a case of does God even have alternatives? Big problem.
If there's no alternative, I would just say everything's necessary.
No. Right, and I know this is a disagreement people have with the idea of DS, right? So my take on it is things like alternatives, thinking about more than one possible world, or like imagining more than one possible world. These are all things that are the result of like creaturely knowledge or creaturely free will. I don't believe God has to have these things.
Yeah, so you wouldn't affirm that. Yeah, that would just affirm that creation couldn't have been otherwise.
So creation can be otherwise than it is today. However, does God have to think about them or consider them? I don't believe so.
So was it? See, when you say God is eternal will, right?
Yep.
Does God's eternal will have to be how it is? Does it have to be this, or could He have willed some otherwise? For instance, could He have willed to create a galaxy with another solar system in it?
Yeah. So I think that the effects of God's will. So like we can say something like God's will has to be necessary, right? God has to have a will.
Sure.
He has to have like an antecedent.
But the actual will, like what He wills, does that have to be necessary?
Yeah. So the effects of the will can be otherwise. I can say that.
So He could have willed otherwise.
So if I don't count necessarily the variability in the effects of God's singular will as being indicative of a change in God's antecedent will. So what God wills before all creation and the results of all creation are not going to be two different things.
So God's will could be, God's effect of the will could be other than what He willed?
No, so whatever the effect of God's will is, doesn't have a sort of a feedback to God's antecedent will. The variability in the effect doesn't have to represent a change in God's will.
I would say that because if you say that the eternal will has to be, let's call it X.
Yeah.
And let's call another will Y. Could the eternal will be Y instead of X?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're of the mind that the eternal will directly feeds into the effect of creation.
No, I'm just talking about the will. I'm just talking about the will, not just the will, not the effect. Just the will.
So, for example, the will of God tells us something. So, in the Bible, I believe it's in Timothy, we have something like the will of God before all creation was that all should come to know the truth, which is also all should come to know Him. How that plays out in our reality, the effect of that one singular will can have variability to it.
I know you affirm that, but I'm speaking like, because you say the will of God is intrinsic to Him, right?
Huh?
The will of God is intrinsic to Him.
The will of God.
Yeah, so that one will.
And it's singular.
It's singular. It's a one because it's pure act, right?
Huh?
Pure act. It's one. Yeah. Because if that one act couldn't have been otherwise, if God couldn't have chosen it to be otherwise, and the act was going to be necessary.
So, again, I don't hold that the act directly relates to the effect. I hold that the act is one and the effect can be variable. But the variability of the effect doesn't have any bearing on the singular act. But very, very similar to the idea of the light going through a prism, and the prism showcasing the contents, if you will, of the light by different spectrums, by different colors. Those colors aren't indicative of like what the light is. They showcase different ways the light can. So
the effect is not a direct consequence of the will?
The effect is not directly identical to the will.
No, I'm not saying identical. It's a direct consequence. So whatever the effect is, everything in effect God willed.
Everything in the effect.
Or can it be something that goes against His will?
It wouldn't be going against His will. But everything in the effect, yes, is what God wills. But the effect itself is not directly identical to the will.
If you're now saying that everything in the effect is God's will, and the effect could be otherwise, then you're saying that the God's will could be otherwise. I'm
saying that the effects of God's will could be otherwise, not God's will directly, which is why I keep associating God's effect with God's will.
Because you said now that the effect of God's will is a direct, everything in creation is directly God's will. As consequence, not identical.
I said that it results from it.
Yeah, right? Consequence, right?
Yeah,
so there's nothing in creation. There's nothing in creation that God didn't will.
that goes against God. No.
That God didn't will.
So there's nothing in creation that God didn't will. But then the effects of creation, or the effect of creation, should I say, can be variable. It depends upon how they are actually actualized in reality from God's will.
Okay.
So that's why I maintain that it's possible for God to have created a different galaxy with a different universe if God's ultimate antecedent will, that all should come to know Him and know the truth, is still achieved in that universe.
I would disagree, because if you're now saying that God's will of creation is necessarily what God wills, right? You're saying that, right? God's creation has to be what God's will.
So creation is the act of creation is necessary.
Sure.
The effects are contingent.
Was the act of creation necessary?
Yeah.
He has to create.
Yeah.
Why?
So that's the, if you will, like consequence of believing in like pure act. So believing in like DS, not necessarily ADS, right? You're just denying any change in God, right? So that would also include any of the actions that God participates in, like creation. So we have no problem affirming that the creation can be a necessary action, but then the effects can be contingent. That's fine.
So creating. Wait, did they affect appear in time or not?
Sorry?
Did they affect appear in time?
Yeah. So the effects of creation appear in time. They're temporary.
How can they affect? Let's say, because you believe time itself is a creation.
Yes.
How can the effect appear in time if time itself is a creation?
Say that again?
How can the effect creation appear in time if time itself is a creation?
Time appears first and then the creation follows.
No, but there's going to be a delay.
That's fine. There's going to be a temporal delay.
No, because there can't be a delay if there's no time.
So time comes first and everything else comes afterwards.
No, I'm saying the first act, the first creation. Because it was always acted, right?
Sorry?
It was always acted.
He's always acting.
No, the act of creation is always actualized. Or did he start actualizing?
So the act of creation, yes, is an actual thing within God.
It's always eternally actualized.
It's eternally actualized.
Yeah.
But then the effect comes about temporary, within time, or temporality, should I say. And yes, the first thing that God would make, ideally, from our understanding of the universe, would be time, and then everything will follow afterwards.
Okay, so let's name creation X.
So for example, like, you know, in Genesis, like in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
We can interpret that as God making time.
Okay, let's call creation X.
Okay.
Time is a part of X, right?
Yes.
Okay, how can X occur in time if there is no time? If time is a creation.
Time comes before the remainder of X?
No, time is part of the X.
Time is part of the X. But
Yeah, how can the X appear in time if time doesn't exist?
In our universe, we can see that things occur sequentially. When the universe was made, Earth wasn't here by default. Earth came about later.
I know, because that's when time already is created.
Yeah, so
But time isn't created yet.
If time is the first thing that God creates, space-time, and then within space-time everything else will occur, that's fine.
No, I wouldn't say that follows, because if time is a creation, then there cannot be delays between act and effect before time.
No, so I'm not claiming that there is a delay between act and effect before time, but I'm questioning why the creation of time as the first creation within our universe is a problem.
Okay.
When time can be created first, and then all other things that occur within time come afterwards.
Okay, I have no issue with you saying time is creating first. Time is creating first.
Saying.
I have no issue with you saying that. Right. I'm saying if there is no time pre-X, pre-creation, then if the act of creation necessary, then the effect must necessarily be necessary if there's no time. That's what I'm arguing with.
If the act of creation is necessary, then the effect of creation must be necessary within time?
No. If the act of creation is eternally actualized, and the effect, and there cannot be delays between the act and effect if there's no time, that must necessarily mean that the creation, the effect, is also eternal.
So I don't see why that's the case when I told you that time is the first thing that God makes.
Time is a creation.
Yes, that's the first.
The creation itself cannot occur in time if time itself is a creation.
It can if time is the first thing created, and then the rest of creation occurs afterwards.
No, it doesn't work, because time
Why
itself.
Not?
Look.
You believe in sequential creation yourself?
No. I believe time is created. I don't believe time is created.
Yeah, but if time is eternal, then that could, well, do you hold the idea of like Allah is time?
No, in that sense. No, in that.
Okay. How do you say that?
Well, what I'm saying is, if time is a part of that X creation.
Yes.
Yeah. If time is temporal, now if there's no time, then there cannot be delays. You agree?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. If the act is eternally actualized, the effect must come sequentially with it.
So I think the problem we're having here is the official one. What do you mean by eternally actualized?
It was never a time where he actualized it. He was always actualizing creation.
Yeah, but like, so the actions of God are not time bound.
Yeah, they're eternally actualized. They're always actualized.
They're also no actions, right?
Yeah.
So then, by me saying again that the effect is something that is temporary or happens temporally, doesn't have a problem if I agree that the first thing that God makes first of all is time, and then everything else follows afterwards.
No,
because
because
just like me, you believe in sequential creations, where on one day or epoch, God makes a certain thing, and then afterwards makes other things.
yeah, you created one thing after another.
Yeah. So
Well,
I don't
that's-
see why time can't
I'll
be the
tell you
first
why.
thing, and then everything else will
How can you say that X, which time is a part of,
Yes.
how can you say X happens temporally if there's no temporal, if there's no time?
So you
That's what I'm saying.
admit, so if you admit that X is a part of, that time is a part of X,
Yeah.
then it's not the whole of X. So it's fine. Time
No,
can be a
so
part
time
of X.
is a part of X.
Yeah, it's a part, but not the whole, right?
Yeah, but
so,
it is a part of X, right?
yes, I agree with you.
Yeah,
That's
so
fine.
time cannot happen temporally if creation can't happen temporally if there's no time. Time is a creation, yes?
Yes.
How can time happen temporally if there's no time before it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I see
Yeah.
I see what you're saying,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the problem is like your sort of view of like time as an actual thing. So like,
I don't believe time is an actual thing. It's abstract.
well, okay, fair. But we can catch it out in a different way. Because you hold the belief that time is like a concept and not something that actually occurs in reality, which I would say isn't the case, because like science can show you that space-time is indeed a real thing.
No, I
And
believe
it-
in that's not our whole position. Well, go ahead.
Okay, fine. So if you're counting time as a creation within like a temporal universe, but time itself is the thing that causes the temporality in the universe to occur. Therefore, how can time come before any of creation? Time, for me, is the Kickstarter of temporality in the first place. So beforehand, there's nothing outside of God
Good.
until He creates time.
Okay.
And then once He creates time, then things in the universe can occur that are temporary.
Okay, good. What you've done now is you have explained to me how there can be time in the universe, how the universe can happen sequentially in the universe. You haven't explained to me how time itself can be temporal.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
so
explain that.
basically, let's put it. I deny that time is eternal, because only God's eternal. So if you're saying
exactly,
that time
that's the
is
point.
eternal, then you're saying God is equivalent to time.
No,
Which is crazy, because time is, I would define it as a change over a period.
It's
So
a measurement of change.
well, over a period, right?
Sure.
So it's a lot.
It's just God. It's just, for example, time for God. It's going to be Him, not going from not doing something to doing something. That's it.
Right, but then that goes back to the reason why I support DS. Because for God to go from not doing X to doing X shows that God isn't perfect.
We can get to that, but we haven't asked
Yeah.
mine now yet.
Well,
I'm saying that.
I've given you an answer, but in your framework, you're interpreting like a cube as like the X or creation, and the cube itself can't exist without time. So therefore, for the cube to exist, time has to come after the cube in your understanding.
No.
But if time comes after the cube, how is the cube there in the first place?
I never said that.
Well,
I said
that's
time has
actually,
to come. Time has to be a thing before the cube. That's what I'm saying. If
Yes.
you're gonna say it's temporal, if it
Yeah.
happens temporally, then time has to be a thing before then.
Yeah, so
It can't be temporal if there's no time.
It's very simply, yeah, no worries, man.
God bless you. Oh, you
No
guys
worries, no worries.
You can't have time as
Yeah.
a creation if there's no time.
Time is temporal because it comes into existence. It doesn't always exist.
Yeah, that's the point. But then you have to then say that if there's no delay, then the effect must also be eternal. That's
Well-
what I'm arguing for.
So the effect wouldn't be eternal
Why?
if there is a delay, because so the delay here would occur in the idea that the single act of God is always occurring, but then everything that's in creation comes into existence.
Yeah,
So
that's fine. Because,
I deny that time is eternal because only God is, and the reason why I deny that God is time itself is because time represents a change over a period, and if your God is identical to time, then that means that He
Okay,
has
good.
the ability to change,
okay,
which
good.
the
Okay,
Bible
good.
denies.
Okay,
right?
good. You've told me again. I'm gonna keep saying it. You've told
Yeah,
me
and
now.
I'll give you the answer,
You-
but it's
you've
to do
told-
with the frame of how you imagine time to be.
You've told me now. Things in the universe can happen sequentially because time is a thing in the universe. That's what you've told me now.
Okay.
I'm saying that the X itself, time, creation, which time is a part of, cannot happen temporally. If it happens temporally, there must be a change. There must be no happening to happening. But there is no change because there's no time.
Okay.
You know what I'm trying to say? So therefore, if there is no change and if don't delay, then then the creation must be co-eternal.
Yeah. So it depends how you again understand time, and I guess this will be
It's
like
a measurement of change.
Okay, so it's a measurement of change, right? So for that measurement to actually, or for anything to undergo change, the measurement must first exist. So if the first thing that God makes is time, then everything else that's in time, in space-time, can undergo change. So I don't see a reason why time coming into existence has to necessitate that the effect is also eternal alongside with the act.
Because time is the part of the effect.
Yes,
time is the part of the effect.
Yes, so time is a part of the effect.
Yeah.
And like I told you before,
The first.
I deny that it's eternal.
Exactly.
And I've given the reason why.
Exactly.
So because I deny it being eternal, because only God is, that is why I cannot come along the ride with you when you are proposing that.
Okay,
time
let me
is
word it
eternal.
differently.
It'll be the same
time.
outcome.
No, I'm telling you how it doesn't work. Because you're telling me now. Can X come about after not? Can X go from non-being to being if there's no time?
Well, it depends what X composes of. Because you agree that X is composed.
Creation.
Yeah. So
Anything that is created, can it come from non-being to being if there's no time?
apart from time, no. Apart from time itself, no.
How can time
Yep.
go from non-being to being if there's no time?
Because it's an effect of an eternal action. That's how.
Okay, what you just told me now, how does that not just eternal?
Huh?
How does that not just happen eternally?
Well, there are
Because you're just saying now it happens after not happening.
So if you claim that it happens eternally, right, then you reach major issues.
No, I'm not claiming that. I'm saying that's what you have to concede to.
I don't have to concede
I'll
to
tell
it
you why.
because I deny it.
I'll tell you why.
I told you why I deny it.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah?
If time itself, because for something to happen temporally, there must be time. Do you agree?
If we're defining time as a change over a period, for anything to change over a period, time has to exist first.
Okay, so that's to be time. If X can go from non-being to being, is that a change?
Well, the problem is you defined X previously as creation.
Let's say it's time.
Okay.
Okay, can time go from non-being to being if there's no time?
Yes, and that's the exception.
Well, you just special pleading it.
Well, not necessarily.
You just told me
something
that
there has to be a antecedent, right, to things occurring within creation, and so that antecedent is in this case time.
that's for creation.
Yeah.
But that time cannot happen temporally then.
It can.
You just agreed to me that X cannot go from non-being to being if there's no time. And then in the same breath, you're saying time went from non-being to being when there's time.
I also
no time.
told you that time would be the outlier.
Yeah, time starts here.
Okay.
Okay. The eternal will is over there. If there's gonna
it would be localized, sure.
Sure, but there's gonna be a delay here.
Yes.
How is there a delay if there's no time?
So there is no. So that's the thing, right? There is no delay to speak of because time doesn't yet exist.
That's the point. It has to happen sequentially.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Well, no, that'll be simultaneously. No.
Yeah, simultaneously.
It doesn't have to happen simultaneously because if it does, that means that God is time, and God can be time.
I didn't say God is. I didn't say God is time. I'm saying that's what you have to concede.
I would like to move on to like the next part of this. The reason why I deny it.
Go ahead. Why do you deny?
So I've said it beforehand already. I've said it sometimes now. The reason why I deny that time is eternal is because only God is eternal. So if something
what's wrong with my line of argumentation?
Yeah. So if your argumentation is that time has to be eternal because there is a delay of some kind between the action and the effects, which I deny a delay in the first place. But if in your understanding there's a delay between the action and the effect, and then since time has to be eternal, then time would be equivalent to God. If anything is equivalent to God, that's an issue because time definitionally represents change over a period, or like a measurement of change.
I didn't even argue any of that.
No, but these are the entailments of your position.
I'm asking what's wrong with my premises and my conclusion.
Yeah, well, effectively, you have to find a way. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, you have to find a way for time to be eternal, yet not to be same as God.
So what?
If you're agreeing with what I'm saying, you have to basically find a way to explain how time can be eternal, but not be the same thing as God.
No, I'm not even defending my position. I'm attacking your position now. Okay, you feel there's no delay.
Well,
there can't be a delay because there's no time.
The idea of a delay wouldn't occur without time.
So there's no time?
Yes.
There's no delay. If there is no delay, how do I do this? If there is no delay,
then time has to be eternal according to you.
Yes. Why? Because if time itself is a creation, the creation cannot happen temporally. if there is no time, because happening temporally requires time. There has to be time for happening temporally.
So, like I told you, things that are temporal exist within time.
Yes.
Right? So time itself can be a creation, but it can be the thing within which things exist inside of. The time itself doesn't have to exist within anything else other than the created order.
So the time the time doesn't exist in time.
Yeah, so time doesn't exist in time. Time is the very
But
thing
you
inside of.
just agree that for something to be temporal, it has to exist in time.
For things to be temporal, they have to exist in time.
And you just said time doesn't exist in time.
But time doesn't exist inside.
So how the hell
of
is time
because-
happening temporally?
Because it's still created. Because time.
You're presupposing that creation equals temporally. I'm
Yes.
arguing that. That's what I'm arguing.
If anything comes into being, then it can be eternal. So
That's what I'm arguing for. I'm arguing that it has to be. You can't presuppose the conclusion. I'm saying.
Well, that's begging the question. Actually, I'm not doing it. Right?
How is that begging the question?
No, that will be begging the question if I was presupposing the.
You are doing that. You're saying time is not eternal because time is created.
Yes. Premise one, anything that premise one, to be eternal, it means that you're uncreated. Premise two, time is created, therefore time is not eternal.
Why can time not be eternally created?
Sorry?
Why can time not be eternally created?
Yeah, so time can be eternally created if you're akin to DS, right? In that time is a component of the single action of God. Or time is a component of the effect, the single action of God. So in that sense, yes, time can be eternally created. But the effect doesn't have to be eternally actualized.
Why?
Because
why can the effect not be eternal?
Because for the effect to be eternal, that implies that things that are created can also be eternal. Which isn't the case.
Say again?
That implies that things that are created can also be eternal.
Why can't it be?
Well, if things that are created are eternal, then that means that in some kind of way there's the potential for God himself to also be created. Because God is eternal.
Yeah, I can just say...
So if you apply eternality to created things, there's no reason why you can't apply it to God too.
No, you can. Why can't you not say... Sorry. Why can you not say God is eternal, but he eternally created time and time came with the act? That's what I'm forcing you to concede to. What I'm saying right now...
We say that. We say that.
No, because you're saying the effect is temporal.
Well, the effect is temporal.
But the effect can't be temporal if there's no time.
So,
do you at least agree where I'm coming from?
So I understand what you are referring to.
Can we go a little bit like that?
What?
Go ahead.
What up?
Nothing, go ahead.
I understand what you're referring to, right? But like I told you, time is the outlier in this case. Time is the thing that doesn't need to exist within time itself.
Why? That's a special pleading to me.
Well, there are things that can be exceptions. Like for example,
why is time an exception?
Huh?
Why is time an exception?
Because time is the thing that is required for things to experience change.
I agree.
So by that definition, it is a thing that is different from all the other things. So it can be an exception.
It can't be. What I'm saying. No, it can't be an exception.
Everything in the universe.
How do I close this, bro?
It's fine. It's like keep it in one place. It's okay.
I don't need it. Yeah.
Just keep it in one place.
It was windy. If time itself is a creation, which you agree to, and the creation, anything temporally requires time. Anything that happens temporally requires time.
Anything temporal requires time to undergo change. Yes.
No, to exist. If anything exists temporally, it requires time. Because you can't exist temporally if there's no time. Because time is what needed to exist temporally.
Okay, sure.
Okay, good.
Yeah, fine.
Does time exist temporally?
Yes.
Okay, is there time that time gets existed into?
So things can exist temporally for different reasons. I would say that time exists temporally because it's created. Whereas everything else can exist temporally also because they're created, but also because they are also subject to time and they undergo change. So, for example, time itself, so here's where the difference lies, right? Time itself doesn't have to undergo change because it's like a constant. There's variability in our universe based on our ways of measuring, but itself doesn't have to undergo change. Everything else within time undergoes change. So time in the created order itself is special. So I believe it belongs in a special category. The very first thing that has to exist.
Yeah, you're saying time. I can grant you time doesn't change. I'm saying I'm not even attacking. I'm attacking that time can't happen temporally. Because you now agree to me. I
can show you the reason why.
You agree to me now. If X was to occur temporally, then it requires time. And
Yeah,
in the
but
same,
as long as X is not time itself.
what? That's a special pleading. In the same breath, you're then saying that time happened temporarily, and there's no time.
But I agreed with you that things can be temporal for a number of reasons, right?
And you said 1 minute is because we created.
Yeah, yes.
But that just seems like special pleading to me.
Well, it wouldn't be because that applies to both time and everything else within time, right? I said that's one way. But another way is that they undergo change caused by time. But then time itself is the former, where it's created but doesn't undergo change like everything else in our
Okay,
universe.
why can it not be eternal yet not undergo change?
Sorry?
Why can it not be eternal yet not undergo change?
And that's my reference from before. Nothing is eternal but God. So if you're claiming nothing is eternal about God, because eternality is not the case that as something has to be uncreated. If there are other things out there that are uncreated, which is actually I think a problem with your understanding of your religion, if there are things out there that are uncreated, then it doesn't say that they're also God or identical to God.
You now said if time, why can time not be created but not temporally, eternally, as the effect?
Yeah.
What's the contradiction?
Okay, so you can't have eternal effects.
Why not?
Huh?
Why not?
Because then that will make them identical to the single action.
Yeah, why can't it be?
So the action and the effect, so if they were identical, then they'd be the same thing.
No, I never said it's identical. They can be different.
You said why can't they be?
Yeah, why
Implying to
can't
why can't
the
action
effect
be eternal?
Why can't the effect be co-eternal with the action?
Because then there's no point of if the effect and the action are both co-eternal, then there's no reason for the two different categories. They're the same thing then.
No, there can be two different things that are co-eternal.
But they're the
That
same.
God, because you literally now affirm God eternally creates. Why can the effect just happen eternally instead of temporally?
Because then that would mean that everything that results in the effect is also going to be eternal. So we're eternal as well.
No, because
Yes.
I know time itself, just time. We can
But then
occur later.
Wouldn't this be you special pleading for time?
No,
So
because time is being argued.
So we both agree that
Because
time,
you agree that time is the first creation.
yeah, so we both
Yeah.
agree that time belongs in a category that is special, based upon what you just told me. We both agree with this idea,
What?
that time is special.
What do you mean special?
So we agree that time is not going to be, time is going to possess certain attributes about itself that won't be possessed by anything else that occurs inside of time.
Say again, what?
Time is going to possess certain attributes that aren't going to be shared by other things that aren't inside of time.
Sure.
So we both agree in our paradigm that time is special. You said earlier, why can't I just say that the effects are or simultaneously eternal with the act? And I told you that the effects include ourselves, which we cannot claim are eternal because we are created. And then you said no, just for time. But then now by saying no just for time, you're in the same seat with me where we agree that time itself belongs to a category of its own.
No, I said just for time because time is what's needed for temporality. That's why I said just for time.
So why not just for time? Because then that would mean that God is identical to time if God's identical to a single action.
Why is it identical to time?
If God's identical to a single action and the action and the effect in your paradigm or your example are simultaneously eternal, then God will also have to be identical to the effect.
There can be time could be something else, separate, distinct from God.
That's also eternal?
Yeah.
So how many gods do we have at that point?
No, that's what I'm arguing for your position. That's what you have to choose.
No, but my position will not claim that time is eternal, but yours will.
I know,
And so
because
you open the possibility for time to be
I don't believe time.
co-eternal.
I don't believe time is concrete. That's the thing.
Sorry?
I don't believe time is concrete. But what I'm arguing for now is that
it depends, right? Because like if you say it's conceptual, right, then you'd have to sort of like argue with. You okay?
No, go ahead.
Okay. If it's only like something that's conceptual, then you're gonna have to argue. So let me say one step back. By concrete, you mean that
It has real ontology, real existence.
What would you categorize as a real existence?
Real ontology,
Like for example,
it's not just like conceptual.
like the wind, for example, right?
It's real.
It's real
Yeah.
because you can experience it and feel it.
I mean, I wouldn't say.
So okay,
Can you feel? Because the soul technically is concrete.
So we're on the same page. Why do you characterize something, just so I can understand your thinking, why do you characterize time as being non-concrete, but the wind is being concrete?
Yeah, we believe in 3 types of time. Time for Allah is going to be a relation, and relations by definition are going to be abstract. if time for creation is going to be concrete, we agree with that. But time for Allah is going to be abstract because it's a relation. It's just a relation.
And so then, how do you explain the fact that we experience time?
Yeah, because it's not merely a relation. It's not merely an abstract relation.
Yeah, so we've talked about my vision, right? Time just being like a measurement of change, right? The way but then also time does actually have real effects in our universe.
In our universe, I agree.
Yeah. So for example, like the whole thing about like us looking at the night sky and seeing stars that aren't actually there anymore, but the information hasn't traveled to us yet, which is why we can still view them. Is that like sort of
that's actual time.
The similarity between what we are observing and the actual state of that thing that we're observing? Is that thing abstract, or is
no? It's time for creation is not going to be merely an abstract relation. It's going to be for God.
So you were defining earlier. You were defining time.
Yeah,
for God.
We were talking about God.
We were talking about time. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Let's take one step back and one step forward again. Okay, fine. So again, you're asking me what is the problem with you having the effects be co-eternal with the acts, right? That was the question. And my response to that was that the act is identical to God, and so therefore, if you are saying that the effect is co-eternal with the action, then you're either submitting to two gods or okay.
Should we end it?
You can put your hood, or is it going to your afro?
You can go ahead.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you're either considering to the idea that you have more than one thing that is eternal in your religion, hypothetically, so God, His act, and the effect of time, or that God is identical to time itself.
No, you can. No, I'm not. I don't believe time is a real thing for God. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you're saying for God, right? But you do believe that time is a real thing for us human beings.
Yeah, for us human beings, it's not eternal. It's created. Do you even know our position on time? Or have you never heard it before?
Well, I don't think you have a single position on time. I think it depends who you want to go by.
It's the athari position.
If you want to follow the hadith that says that Allah is the dahir or whatever, right? Then
it's the athari position, even Taymiyah's position.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What?
Describe your position on time for me.
Sure. So time is going to be three different types of zaman. It's going to be the time for Allah, which is just a merely abstract relation. God going from not doing something to do something. It's going to be time for creation, which is just going to be the sequence. Things happen just like seconds, for example, like just sequence. And then the third one is going to be things happening one thing after another. But because the things are created, that time is also going to be created.
Maybe I'm just stupid here, but I don't see how those three things are different from each other.
Okay.
They're all describing sequences.
The first one is not independent of change, no emotion. I think change. They need change.
The first one is for Allah.
Yes.
And Allah goes from doing one thing to another thing.
Yes.
And He does that without changing.
No, He needs change. He changes.
How is that any different than from the second kind, where it's us doing things?
Because all things are created.
So Allah
and then the third one is what's it called? It's the sequence, which is independent of change.
So Allah has uncreated change.
Yeah, Him going up on the throne is not a creation. For example.
But it is a change of location, correct?
Yeah.
So how can you? So that means that there's a change in events. There's a time when the throne is vacant, absent of anything upon it, and then a separate time when there's something upon that throne. A change in sequence and a change in location has occurred.
Yeah.
In that time.
Yeah.
How is that not? How can you have an eternal change?
We said it's an eternal change.
So it's a temporal change.
Yeah.
So how does how does time affecting Allah differ from time affecting me?
Because you believe time is created, and I'm pushing you to believe that you have to believe time is eternal. That's my whole argument.
So the only difference between the way time affects me and Allah is how I believe time functions.
No, what?
So from what I gather, again, if I'm getting you wrong, please correct me. But Allah going upon the throne entails that there is a sequence of events when He is not on the throne. Correct? Or am I wrong?
Say again?
Allah going on the throne implies that there are a sequence of events when He is not there.
Yeah.
So Allah moves from one location to another.
Yeah.
I came to the park.
Yeah.
Before that, I was in the tube station.
Yeah.
I moved from one series of events to another.
Yeah.
How does my experience of time then differ from Allah's?
Because your actions and what you're doing is created. And there's also a third one, which I told you, which is independent of change.
Allah being on the throne and off the throne is uncreated.
It's uncreated. He doesn't create his actions. But our actions are created. He's created his actions. Are.
So how then does Allah move if his actions are created?
His actions are created.
So
his actions are intrinsic to himself. Nothing intrinsic to himself is creation.
So
for example, him speaking, the speech originates from the attribute of speech, not the attribute of creation.
So when you're saying that he's upon his throne or ascending onto his throne, what are you communicating to me?
Say again? I'm communicating that
when you say Allah
he rose upon the throne.
Yeah,
how? I don't know how. We don't know how.
Yeah, but you see, this is that problem with your position.
How are we supposed to know?
Well, I'm not asking you for the mechanics of the way in which, or the manner in which Allah will do something. Well, I'm trying to ask you, what are you trying to communicate to me?
For instance, he just goes from not doing X to doing X. We're not understanding.
But what are you communicating to me?
I'm communicating.
If it's something that's supposed
I'm communicating that he's actuating a volitional attribute. What do you mean? You're not making your question straight.
I'm making it very straight. I don't know how much I can make it. You're communicating to me that he's actioning a volitional attribute when you claim he enters the throne.
Oh no, the throne. No, he rises.
Yeah, that's what I said.
But I don't know how he rises. He rises.
Okay, cool. And then you're claiming that the rising and the state of affairs before he rises and after he rises is something that is... Huh?
They're not the same.
Perfect. They're not the same. So how are they different?
They're different because Allah was once not upon the throne and now he's upon the throne.
So is it a locational difference or a temporal difference?
They still happens temporally.
So then Allah is subject to time in the same way that I am.
No, because what you're doing is created and his isn't. And I told you the third one as well.
But the third one you said is when you commit actions and then time is created between those actions.
No, that was the second one.
No, the second one was us experiencing a sequence of events.
No, second one was you doing something, us not doing something.
So experience a sequence of events.
Yeah, and the third one was the flow of time itself, which is independent of change.
Okay, I already brought that up back when we first started speaking already, because time doesn't exist in time itself. Okay, that's fine. The third point is
I don't know what that has to do with me.
So I agree with the third point.
Yeah.
I disagree with how there's a difference between the first and second.
Yeah, ours is created, his isn't.
So then, what is the?
Because you're subject to the third one as well, and he isn't.
Well, it depends, right? I would argue that Allah is also subject to the third will himself if he goes from being not on the throne to on the throne.
No, that's the first one.
All you've told me is that he actions of volitional attributes. You don't know the hows of it, which is fine. That's what you guys always tell me anyway.
Yeah.
And again, I understand. I'm not asking you for the mechanics. Because for example, I can say God made the heavens and the earth, but I'm not telling you how he did it.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not going to go down that route with you.
Yeah.
But I don't see a difference between Allah and the sequence of events that until Allah is not on the throne, and a sequence of events that until he is on the throne, if he is not experiencing a change over a period.
He is experiencing a change over a period.
Okay, so then it's just like when I experience a change over a period as well.
No, because yours is subject to the third one as well. And what you're doing, your actions, no, because your actions are changed. No, Allah doesn't change.
He would be.
No.
He would be if the actions is committed.
Because the third one is independent of change.
No, the third one is about time.
It's the flow of time. It's the flow of time.
Yes.
It's just independent of change.
Okay, so the flow of time itself is independent of change.
Yeah.
But apparently Allah is not, at least locationally, according to the first example you gave. So that's why I said the third example also will apply to Allah.
Why?
Because of what I just said prior.
Say again.
The third will, or the third definition of time, is that time is not subject to itself, but things instead are subject to time. So like when I told you earlier that time doesn't exist in time, I agree with you on that one. Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay with that? I am now telling you that the third definition of time also applies to Allah.
Why?
Because Allah moves in some kind of way, locationally, spatially, materially, I'm not sure in which way you describe, from one sequence of events until
that just applies to the first one.
Sorry?
How does that apply to the third one?
Because he is subject to the to time itself. Not
Yeah, he acts in time. Yeah. I don't see how that applies to the third one.
So the third one applies to Allah because Allah goes from being on the throne to not being on the throne.
That's the first one.
That's the first one.
Yeah.
And then that's the differential in the sequence of events between him not being on the throne and him being on the throne occur because of a third example.
What?
The differential between him being on the throne and not being on the throne, I am claiming, occur because he is then subject to the third definition of time.
Why? Why? You haven't said that.
Because how else do you explain him going from one sequence of events to being on the
by virtue of the first one?
But the first one just says that
the first one is God goes from not doing something to doing something. Exactly how God goes from not being on the throne to being on the throne.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the first one is my contention because the first one is pretty much identical to the second one, and they're both subject to the third one.
No, the second one refers to creation, and the third one is subject applies to creation but not to God.
I'm not seeing a disparity between the way time applies to creation and applies to God. It's the same thing. The same thing occurs.